Baby, everybody. Some sweet, beautiful baby. We are fresh off of the draft from last night, where both of us did very, very well. Of course, Chad ended up with the 3rd overall pick, took Henry Estrada, and that ended up being a great selection. Bruins fan, that's true, to be honest. That is true. Not only Henry Estrada, of course, there were some other decent pieces as well. Maybe not the highest potentials in the world. But all in all, pretty solid draft for Chat's Rockies, for my White Sox. A lot more depth, I would say, throughout the draft in terms of potential high-end projects. We'll see, of course, whether or not said players end up developing. But we're both looking okay. Not for this season. For this season, we both suck. But we're continuing to improve moving forward towards where we want to be. In terms of contract extensions, though, we got to focus on this to start off. Let's take a look. Does Chat need to re-sign Miguel Amaya? No. No, you don't. You have Jonah Heim. You have Sam Huff behind him for 2 more years. And then obviously Drew Romo and then Dinger, who's already a 70 overall at 19 years old. No reason to re-sign Miguel Amaya. It's not even a high enough player to be like, oh, well, we could try to trade him or something like that. Like, it would have happened. It would have happened if it hadn't happened already. So there's really no reason to re-sign him at, $2 million. You'd be better suited spending that money elsewhere. If he was looking for $1 million or so and it was like a AAA depth option, but yeah, probably worth letting go. Michael Toglia. Let's see, he's the interesting one at 1.1 million. Kind of that similar player I was talking about. You could keep him for depth at first base, but also, you got Manzardo and Montero. And Montero's better at the plate. I don't really think you have to sign Toglia either. He does have a renewable contract, though, moving forward. So maybe he's a wait and see. He's renewable at 1.1 million for 3 years. That's not that bad. You'll be able to do that in the offseason, though. Second base, Cameron Cawley, and then John Birdie, who's falling off a cliff. Honestly, if Cawley's cheap enough, keep him for like AAA depth to try and help get your younger guys some playoff games. But depending on the price, again, he could easily be dropped. Yeah, he's dirt cheap. He's dirt cheap. It's at least worth keeping him for under $1 million. That's not too bad. Honestly, you might as well keep John Birdie, too, if he's cheap enough. And he is. You might as well keep him if he's willing to accept the deal. He wants all the term in the world. Looks like you guys can let go of John Birdie then. He's 37, yes, but again, he'll be better than signing like a 42 overall guy in spring training to fill out the roster with. Yanquiel Fernandez is an obvious keep for you guys. 3 years at 1.2 is a tremendous deal. Max Clark, you obviously have to keep. You guys just acquired him via trade this season. The big question from there, Taker, what's going on, is Brenton Doyle, who has kind of been replaced in center field, wants a deal worth $2.4 million, but he would be a depth option. He's going to be behind Nolan Jones, behind Max Clark, behind Langford, probably behind Fernandez as well. There's really no reason to keep him now that you have another center fielder. He's not a bad player, but at best, it's, $2.4 million for depth and a pinch runner. You could do it. It's not the worst. And then obviously the relievers. Of course, Gilbreth wants a decent amount of money. It is worth signing Gilbreth, though, and keeping relievers around. The fucker wants so much money. Honestly, you might as well just cheese it. Backload it. He'll retire. You won't even have to pay him that much money. Give him what he wants. Give him the term. Actually, he doesn't even. Yeah. And if he accepts it, you might as well just keep him around. I mean, because he'll be down in the minors not making that much money anyway because it's backloaded. He'll retire well before it actually gets pricey. As per usual, if I would do the deal, just have you guys do the deal. There you go. Keep him around. John Curtis. Honestly, John Curtis. 1.1. He is not as cheap, but again, it makes sense to keep these guys around on the backloaded deals just for the depth. That way, again, you don't have to deal with 48 overall players forever and ever. Maybe 700K for Jalen Beeks. Yeah, it just makes sense to hold on to these dudes. Starters. Peter Lambert's going to be relatively cheap. Going to have to go to arbitration with him, though. And then Herman Marquez. He's worth waiting on. So you do have decisions in terms of how much money do you want to spend on keeping depth around. Doesn't have to be addressed this second, though. If you do it in the offseason, you'll get a better idea of how much money it would cost. For myself, what do we got? Jesus Christ, that's a lot of people. Let's see, Corey Lee. 1.6 for 4 years. That's not too bad, even though he's going to be depth. Hawks, what's up? All right, I have to go to arbitration with him. Max Stassi, you want too much damn money, my man. Although, again, I can do the same exact thing. Just keep him around as a depth option. Nope, even then, he doesn't want to do it. Cynical and free agency, yes. So yeah, Max Stassi is just not feeling it. Good to know. Josh Bell. I mean, he's in decline, but yeah, I'm going to have to take a similar approach to some of these players. Go into arbitration with him. Whit Merrifield. I will try to do the deal there for Whit. There we go. That works. Colson Montgomery. In my arbitration years with him, but it looks like, yeah, I'll be able to keep him, no problem. Luis Roberts, I'm still hoping to be able to trade. Six-year deal brings him up to age 35. Go with the team option. $14 million for 6 years. That's not too bad. At least I can opt out at the end. He wants more money. 14.5. 15. Really? I'm getting price gouged by Luis Robert. I'll allow it. 15.5. There you go. Got absolutely price gouged by Luis Robert. 1.2 for Zavala. Zach McKinstry. Keep you around for relatively cheap. He's going to have to go to arbitration. Gavin Sheets is going to have to go to arbitration. And Oscar Colas. I'll just continue to keep him around for the depth. So we're in pretty similar situations here, which isn't surprising. Dwayne Underwood. I'm going to do the typical deal there. Keep him around for the rest of his career. Caleb Ferguson. 5-year deal with a club option. Will you accept $9 million flat? No. What about the 9.6? $10 million. That's a bit risky. He has been damn good, though. I'll keep him around. Prelander Baroa. A little bit expensive, but you know what? I'm willing to do it. Just accept the deal, my man. Thank you. For starters, Drew Thorpe. Be able to keep him around for dirt cheap. Willie Villegas. Be able to keep him around for cheap. Noah Schultz. It's pretty much going to be the story for all of these starters because so many of them are very, very young players. Jared Schuster. How much money can I save with you? Not much. Nick Nastrini. Keep him around. Austin Cox. Wants a little bit more than I'd prefer to give him, but I can go to arbitration. Jake Adair I can keep for cheap. And Sean Burke, not the goalie. There we go. All right. So, yeah, we're both still going to have some players to worry about come off-season time, but we'll see what the situation has happened to be at the time. For now, we're good to finish up this season. Again, both of our teams are not particularly great. Is there any way beyond the Eastern Conference final run that Sheldon Keefe keeps his job as Maple Leafs head coach? Yes, because they probably don't want to pay coaches any more money. That's the only thought. It's just they don't seem to want to spend a bunch of money. Ooh, wow. Oakland and Boston. Both worse than I am at the moment. Are you guys at the bottom? No, you're not. So we are both the third worst team in our respective leagues. So we might not have the super high draft odds. Although that hasn't particularly helped people previously. It's going to be interesting to see where we finish record-wise this season. AAA Ball Club doesn't make it. Neither AAA Ball Club, neither AA Ball Club make the playoffs. No surprise. So my White Sox, shout out to Captain Ahab as opposed to Ahab. Finished at 65 and 97. Not a great record for me. You guys at 68 and 94. So the playoff droughts for both of us continue. As we'll take a look at the standings here. I finished with the second worst record in the American League. 1 game ahead of the Boston Red Sox, who are in the basement. Hate to see it. On the NL side, you guys were the third worst team. 6 games up on the Nationals and Milwaukee. 57 wins for Milwaukee, the worst team in the Major League this season. That's insane. What's Milwaukee's roster look like? You wouldn't think they'd be that bad. Okay. I mean, they're not like dreadful on paper. I mean, that Yelly contract, that's hindering them quite a bit. But, I mean, they do have a really young team. They'll turn the corner sooner rather than later. What do you think happens first? One of us wins the World Series or we find a two-way player? Two-way player. I think will happen first. Speaking of the playoffs, since neither of us are in it, Minnesota, Tampa, Baltimore, and the LA Angels of Anaheim in the wild card. Houston and Cleveland with the first round buys. On the other side, it's Arizona, Atlanta, Philly, and San Diego with the Dodgers and Cubs awaiting the winner of those wild card matchups. Let us take a look at the team stats. We'll start off with Chat's Rockies on the season. Chase Dollander led your team in wins, the only guy to hit double digits. So that's not too bad. And of course, you traded for Griffin Canning in the middle of the season. I can't see the split numbers, but it does look like his numbers came down once he was acquired. At least I don't remember where to go to see the split numbers. Let's see here. Not a great season for Ryan Rolison, but I mean, he's not a long-term solution for you guys anyway. Yeah, I mean, defense definitely helped out the pitching a bit. Obviously, the starting pitching, number one, it's not super high level for you guys anyway. And secondly, Coors Field. That's always going to be a factor. Lot of innings for the relievers here. A lot. Gratterall, 47 innings of work, 33 saves as your closer this year, 105 whips, so not bad. And then Santillan was listed as the closer, even though he wasn't. He actually did pretty well this year at a base level. In terms of the catchers, Jonah Heim, your big free agent signing last year, 21 home runs, 74 RBIs, a 7.72 OPS. So he was significantly better than he was last year. I mean, the average was about the same. I think he loved himself some Coors Field with the slugging going up like that. He seemed to do pretty well. He did decline in rating, though. At just 31, there are quite a few negatives in the mix there. That could be a little bit scary, but he's only got 2 years left. And he's got a team option as well, so that's not too bad. At first base, 28 home runs, 87 RBI for Kyle Manzardo. Maybe he is the guy at first base. Just under an 800 OPS, but maybe he is the guy. He's still only 26. He's going to keep getting better. He's still got a lot of contract control, too, relatively. Damn, good season for him. Brendan Rodgers at second base. Obviously, you just drafted his eventual replacement. Still better defensively than offensively, but he's not dreadful offensively. Third base, Bernabel was the only actual third baseman on the roster. Not a great season at the plate for Warming Bernabel. The trio of shortstops, all of whom played over 130 games, 26 stolen bases for Abrams, and at the plate it was, I mean, almost identical in some ways between Abrams and Peguero. Obviously, that's eventually going to have to sort itself out at shortstop. Eventually. Wyatt Langford, damn, 21 home runs, 78 RBI, 794 OPS. Oh, that was a hell of a trade for you guys. One hell of a trade. Max Clark in center. 16 stolen bases, 41 RBI, 706 OPS. Certainly better at the plate than Brenton Doyle was this season. And again, Clark's not that much worse defensively than Doyle happens to be. Then in right, Nolan Jones, the star of the team. I mean, the most consistent at the plate, 73 walks as well. 17 stolen bases. He's still good. 1 year left at $4.2 million after this, though, and then he wants to get paid. So that'll be an interesting one. But Langford actually led the team in hits. Hell of a pickup there. Hell of a pickup. For my White Sox, I don't expect this to be great. And wow, Austin Cox, 10-2 with a save. I don't know if Willie Villegas is going to win Rookie of the Year. Honestly, like, the starting pitching wasn't that bad for how young my team happens to be. Yeah, nobody over a 5. Cox is under a 4. That's not too bad. For the relievers, 44 saves for Brian Abreu this year. 50 strikeouts to 17 K is not bad at all. And then old Rafael Geronimo up to an 83. Very, very nice. Gives up quite a few walks, though. 64 in terms of walks per 9, though, so that makes some sense. For the catchers, oh boy. Old Hefferson was honestly a little bit better than I expected him to be. Corey Lee was tragic. So bad at the plate. Josh Bell at first did well. I mean, that's kind of what I paid him for, was to at least be replacement level, and he was. Good job, Josh. Brooks Baldwin at second base. Not great at the plate, but he is solid defensively. Yoan Moncada is cooked. Maybe not cooked, but 2 straight seasons and now 3 of the last 4 with an OPS under 7. Not great. Colson Montgomery, 54 RBI. That was his best season at the plate, easily. Easily. Thank God. He might not be a lost cause at the plate. Mr. Jimenez only had 77 at-bats this season. That's right. He only played in September. I had to send him down. He was outstanding in September. He was outstanding. All right. Fair play. Samuel Zavala and Luis Robert. Wow, Robert only played in 87 games and was limited to 15 home runs. And I just re-signed him. I can't worry too much about the numbers. You need players to fill the role and then try to deal out of the contracts later. Yeah, Zavala is definitely a defense-first center fielder. And then in right, Dominic Fletcher, Zach McKinstry. Yeah, Fletcher was better than McKinstry. It's not too surprising. Bad teams, not great players. I would presume he was hurt as opposed to benched, yeah. Terms of the award winners, Jordan wins AL MVP. Pretty close race with Randy Arozarena. But it does go to Jordan. NL MVP, Shohei Ohtani. Now 32 years old. But Shohei gets it done. Had a 46 home run season with 144 RBI. A 322 average, over a 1.0 OPS. A 17-5 record on the mound. Jesus. What a player. AL Cy Young goes to Cleveland's Gavin Williams. I think there's an argument for Hunter Green because of the extra strikeouts, but not a totally undeserved winner. It's up to a 91. Damn. I mean, it is true. Garcia, he didn't have the strikeouts, but he did have the ERA that was over a full point lower. That's fair, too. NL-wise, no surprise. Shohei Ohtani wins NL Cy Young. And, yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe you could argue Tristan McKenzie, but AL batting title goes to Alex Bregman. Barely over Juan Soto. Still getting paid in Oakland. Shadowstalker, what's going on, by the way? 3 straight years now with an Astro winning the batting title. NL-wise, it's Nolan Gorman. Nolan Gorman. Man, he and Mookie both over a 350. AL reliever of the year, Evan Phillips in Tampa. Gabe Spire was up there, and Alzolay wasn't too bad with 68 strikeouts. NL reliever of the year, Camilo Doval. The wickedly talented Adele Dazeem. Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of surprised Moretta didn't win it. Controversial winners. 2 times now in 3 years, though, for Doval. AL Rookie of the Year, Minnesota's Walker Jenkins. I did not have anybody in the final 3. That's unfortunate. Back-to-back Rookie of the Years as well for Minnesota. NL side, it goes to Cincy's Connor Phillips. Connor Phillips wins Rookie of the Year over Cheng and Kellum Clark. Hank Aaron Award winners, Gorman and Aaron Judge, actually. Really quickly, we can check for Gold Gloves. I feel like those are the awards we're most likely to win. And while about that, it doesn't look like we have any Gold Glove winners this year again. So much for that. Let's find out who is going to win the World Series. Minnesota's over Tampa, Baltimore over the Angels. You got Atlanta over Arizona, Philly over San Diego. So we're down to the Elite Eights. Minnesota over Houston. There will be a new champion this year. Baltimore over Cleveland, Dodgers over the Braves, and Cubs over the Phillies. So Minnesota, Baltimore, LA, and Chicago. Your World Series will be the Dodgers against Baltimore. So the Dodgers are back in the World Series as they get ready to take on the Orioles. The Dodgers, of course, I mean, again, they ended up with fucking De La Cruz. We didn't even see how the hell that happened. Still a damn good team. A damn good team. And for the Baltimore side of things, I mean, that young core has hit their stride. That young core has hit their stride. Also, they added Nolan Arenado. Oof. I do wonder, though. Cincy. Must have been for prospects, right? Unless there's somebody obvious that I'm just not thinking of. But I want to see how Lodolo was doing. But yeah. Anyway, let's find out. Who's it going to be? Hey, a good result happens. The 2027 World Series goes to Baltimore in 6 games over the Dodgers. Gunnar Henderson wins MVP. Mills would be happy. Be a happy, happy man. Baltimore Orioles, World Series champions in 2027. O's fans don't have to wait too much longer. Shout out to Paulie, by the way, for the 29 months. The Hall of Famer himself. Thank you very much for that. Welcome back. With that, I think we're good to go for this season. I think we are. It's going to be an interesting off season between the two teams. As Eric Fetty, Matt Gage, and Arthur Dixon are gone. For me, you guys lose Marshall Hamm and Matt Koch, which is fine. Jason Alexander retired. Oh. Giancarlo Stanton. Holy shit. Well, he fell off a cliff, didn't he? Dude, he fell off a cliff, landed, rolled, and then fell off a second cliff in terms of overall. Jesus Christ. Poor bastard. Poor bastard. Well, let's find out. Any Hall of Famers? Kershaw and Craig Kimbrell. The old Hook himself. Kershaw, 245 wins. Almost 3,400 strikeouts. 453 saves for Kimbrell. I mean, that's outrageous. It's outrageous, I say. But I'll allow it, because the Hook. Gotta love the Hook. All right, so this offseason, if I'm not mistaken, Chad, I finished with the worse record than you did. The good thing is we actually don't have any crossover in terms of what we need. So I need a first base coach. And who is that first base coach going to be? Sergio Navarro. We are going to aim to overpay Sergio Navarro. And then I also needed a farm director. And yeah, Dave Roberts has to be the target. I'll pay old Dave a boatload of money. Let's see, for you guys, hitting coach, pitching coach, and a third base coach. In terms of a hitting coach, I mean, that's not bad. You lose the drag bunting, but the +2 contact, +3 power. Ooh, David Cortez is even better. David Cortez is even better. The clutch, the power, the discipline, and screw the bunting. That is a great hitting coach. Go up to 2.5 to make sure you guys get him. So it's hitting coach, pitching coach, and a third base coach. In terms of a pitching coach, Jackson Keys. No negatives. He's younger than Dylan Shugan. So there you go. No negatives. And again, hopefully we actually land these guys. And then third base coach, Buster Graff. That sounds rough. Carlos Feebles. There you go. Works out for both of us. Beautiful. So we'll see how that plays out. In terms of the exclusive free agent negotiations, it's German Marquez and John Birdie. Marquez wants too much money at this point. I mean, you could keep him around for depth, but $1.6 million to play in AAA. I mean, that wouldn't be too bad in terms of, again, making that AAA roster better and trying to get your younger guys more playoff games. But he's certainly not going to be at the major league level for you guys anymore. Opinions on the launch roster. Not bad. They are missing some players as they are every year. But you can go onto the vault and download missing players. So, Hockey Kid, what's up, by the way? If someone wants to make an argument to keep German Marquez at $1.6 million backloaded, which means he will be pretty cheap. I mean, again, go 1.6 backloaded, keep him as a depth option. It's not that bad of a deal, but it would be for the sole purpose of keeping your minor league team stronger. What would be the math on that? He'd be getting paid under $1 million for a couple of years. He might retire by then. I'd probably do it, to be honest. But I'm seeing a lot of no's, so it's not my team. And then John Birdie. I mean, again, you could try to keep him for dirt cheap to boost up the minors a bit. Although, how much is he even going to boost up the minors anymore? You know? He's only a 61. Like, he fell off a cliff in the last year. So, I don't think you guys have too much to worry about there. For myself, Max Stassi. I'm kind of in the same spot here where it's like, what the hell is Max Stassi even gonna provide? Yeah, I mean, he's really not even good. So yeah, just who cares? I'll let him go. He's going to keep declining anyway. Josh Bell. You know, I'm gonna give Josh Bell that contract because I don't have too much in terms of first baseman. I am gonna do that whole backloaded deal for Josh Bell if he'll take it, just for the depth. Ooh, wow, that's a bit surprising, but Brendan Rodgers has opted out. Wow. So here's the thing, chat. Rodgers opted out, but you have Whitmore and Estrada. You know, that's why you drafted these guys. You know, even if you do start Whitmore in the majors next year and give Estrada 1 year in AAA to season up a little bit, I don't know if you have to keep Brendan Rodgers, depending on what he's asking for. What is he asking for? It'd be $10 million next season, probably closer to 11. So if you wanted to keep him for one season at $11 million, you could. But it depends on what you want to do with the younger guys, right? It depends on what you want to do with the younger guys. You could qualify him, but I don't think he's a high enough overall that you'll get anything back for him. I think you'll get stuck with the $20 million deal for the year. So you could sign him for the year, but also that $11 million, how much will that affect you? You guys will still have $78 million to spend. So a 1-year deal is not going to kill you. You'll still have money to spend in free agency if you want it. It's just, do you run Whitmore and Cawley in the majors next year, play Estrada in AAA for a year? Or do you want to have Rogers and Cawley and then run like Whitmore in double and Estrada in triple to develop a little bit more? So we'll throw it to a vote because I've seen differing opinions. So it will be Rogers. Keep for 1 year. Or let him walk. What do you guys think? I did not expect him to opt out. But he's been on the block as well. Any of our top players have consistently been on the block. I don't think you guys have gotten a single trade offer for him in that time. Looks like it's probably going to be keep him for a year. Now, again, you could go for the qualifying offer and hope that somebody signs him to get compensation, but it's unlikely. And then you'd be paying him $21 million a year, or for the year. I mean, this. Oof, man, you're gonna have to overpay him too. You're looking at like, wow, that's actually the max he'll give you. You're looking at about $13 million for the year at max value. It looks like the keep for 1 year is going to win, though. I mean, his average last year wasn't great, but he is solid defensively. Doesn't have the best arm in the world, but he's a second baseman, not a third. So, I don't see too many disagreements with this. So, you don't even know if he'll accept it either. If he walks, then all shit, deal with it. But I mean, again, you have so much goddamn surplus right now that it's not going to stop you from signing big free agents if you want to. But let's see. We'll see if Brendan Rodgers sticks around. Eloy Jimenez has actually done the same thing for me. In terms of opting out, you guys got Feebles as your third base coach. So Mr. Jimenez had a really strong September. If I let him go, I have Robert, Zavala, Fletcher, McKinstry, Sheets. Probably going to let him go. He doesn't want much money at all. Let me check something. I mean, obviously, Robert's going to stay. Zavala can't be sent down without being lost to waivers. It's basically choosing between him and McKinstry and potentially losing McKinstry on waivers. McKinstry is a good utility option to have. I think I'm going to keep him. Even if it's a 1 year deal, go up to $5 million for the year. You know. It's an eclectic playlist, right? See, David Cortez did accept the Mets offer instead. Shout out to High Five, by the way, 8 months. Thank you very much for that. How the heck are you, by the way? Hope you're doing well. Sorry, I'm just trying to not lose the train of thought here. So that is a hitting coach that you guys need. Honestly, Robinson, Nelson, probably the next best guy to go for. Try to pay him a little bit more. See if you guys can land him. Jackson Key is on as your pitching coach. I did not land Sergio Navarro, unfortunately. Life is good. Glad to hear it. I've been enjoying this game so far, man. It's been good. Let's see. What do we have? Mick Braley. The Micker. Come on down, Mick. I need you. And it looks like Brendan Rodgers did accept your 1-year deal. So Rodgers will be back for the year. Dave Roberts went to the Cubs. Fuck. We have had a bitch of a time being bad teams. Actually signing staff members. Anybody without any negatives? Rolando McQueen. It's a defense first option, but Rolando, see what you can do. He did sign with Chicago. Razor, shut up. So obviously we got a lot to handle here in free agency, but just to take a peek, might be tempting.